Hey, shalom everybody, and welcome back to Religion Link TV, where my spiritual ear stands. Alright guys, shalom and welcome back. Welcome back for the second video of the day. Hopefully you guys liked the last video, and hopefully you can like this and appreciate this one as well. Today we're going to be talking about the gun violence and the damage that it does. There is a young woman, I think it happened last year, you all. Before I get into all that, please subscribe, like, share, comment down below that you are here with me on this video in the gun violence, the damages that is caused, and police brutality versus black ignorance. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all don't like to hear teachings like this, but it's the absolute truth. Our police being as aggressive and brutal as we know them to be is black people putting themselves in situations where the police can abuse their power. Let's talk about it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this video. Alright, so if you guys don't know, subscribe, like, share, comment down below, please. This is Religion Link TV, and I'm just bringing you some afternoon news, delight news that you can probably use when it comes to gun violence. Do you yourself,
it's time to turn it up.
Do you yourself own guns, have guns, illegal, illegal, have guns hurt you and your family, help you and your family? Me personally, I believe in guns, but I don't believe in utilizing them for protection. I believe guns is by far killing more people here in this world and in America, and in the world than any of the plague or anything else that we have encountered. All right, so let's go ahead and if you're new here, please subscribe, like, share, comment, do all that good stuff. If you're returning, please do the same thing. All right, I would greatly appreciate it. So now we have this woman. Coming out of, let's see, this story is coming out of Georgia, I believe, October 2nd, 2021. And I first heard about this story over on, it was an article that came up, and I read about it. And then over on Eat with Philly Phil, there's a woman named Jackie Foley, and she's the mother of the deceased woman in this first story. Where her 17-year-old finds his mom shot to death in bed after neighbor's gun accidentally discharged. Now, that accidentally discharged, people are disputing, saying there's no way it can be on accident. And so, with that being said, let me just say this. From what I know about this story, either he knew where this young lady's bedroom was and where her bed was, or he's been inside that apartment before in order to be able to accidentally discharge his firearm to shoot this woman while she's laying in bed taking a nap. So let's go ahead and get into the story a little bit. Alright, so if there's any audio footage, I will get into it. But right now, we're reading out of KTRK. This is actually Watch Live ABC 13. And this article, it doesn't say who wrote the article, but it was done October 2nd, 2021. Somewhere down in Duluth, Georgia, a Houston family in mourning is working to bring back their loved one's body from the Atlanta area after a senseless killing. And it was indeed a senseless killing, you all. It was indeed one of those situations where You would think it's unexplainable, like how did it happen? But believe you me, the one who discharged the gun, he may know exactly what happened, okay? Unfortunately, the woman's not here to tell us about it. And the son, I don't believe he knows exactly what happens, but he is the one who found his mom deceased. And this is a really sad story. And after this story, we're going to get into a 16-year-old who shot his mom, and then a 12-year-old who shot his mom with a gun in his hand. So now I'm going to ask you again. Are you for guns or against guns when you realize how much damage guns have done in this world and how much damage the gun done based off the person whose hands the gun was in? So Gwinnett County Police said 36-year-old Kalitha Foley died from a gunshot wound to the head as she slept in her apartment in Duluth, Georgia on September 26th. Now, again, this article was written October 2nd, 2021. And how do you suffer a gunshot wound to your head as you sleep in an apartment in Duluth, Georgia? I got a theory here. The woman lived in a predominantly white area in Georgia, and she, according to reports, was into acting and doing well for her and her son. And when you live by, I told you, these irrational thinking people with guns in their hands, anything is possible to happen, especially when we have them in the hands of some police who act irrational. But I don't know if that's the case in the one with the woman who was tussling with the officer, or who the officer tussled down to the ground, I should say, in the last story we're going to talk about this morning. So basically, I have an idea. Um, in order for such an act to happen, the way the apartments may have been set up, either one room was adjoined to the other room. Like I said, this man had to know the layout of where her bedroom was and where her bed was positioned in the bedroom in order for him to accidentally discharge his firearm, and it hits her, Calithia Miss Foley, in the head. That part is not make it makes sense, but it's not making sense. You know what I'm saying? Her 17-year-old son said he was the one who found her lifeless body in bed. Authorities said they found a bullet hole in the wall of the apartment. And what's said to be so is that the apartment the bullet hole came from belonged to this young white guy who lived in close proximity to Mrs. Foley, to Miss Foley. Foley's neighbor told police his gun went off while he was cleaning the weapon, and reports allegedly says that he put a note on the door asking if anybody was all right. Why would he do that? Like, unless he know he accidentally did something wrong. Okay. But basically, and he went on about his day and went to work. Didn't call police or anything. Ironically, right? So it goes on to say the neighbor, 22-year-old Maxwell Williamson, said he forgot that there was a bullet in the chamber. You cleaning your gun and you forget that there's a bullet in the chamber? Okay. Authorities have charged Williamson with involuntary manslaughter and reckless conduct. He's in jail with no bond. Rightfully so. I mean, anybody carelessly, accidentally, if your gun discharged, you cleaning it or not, or just aiming it allegedly at that woman's apartment, and the gun go off and take this young lady's life, you should be in jail with no bond. Now, there's reports that say this man used to have social media and all of that stuff. It's been wiped clean. I didn't go that far. I just wanted to bring y'all this story in connection with the 12-year-old boy who just recently shot his mom. And then as I was pulling up that article, a 16-year-old boy shot his mom, unalived her, and then basically took his own life. So guns are doing damage, whether you want to believe it or not. And I know a lot of people are out here pushing for more gun control where people could be strapped all day, any day, licensed, unlicensed, vetted it, verified, and or whatever. And I'm telling you, guns in the hands of the wrong people always lead to destruction. So Foley's family shared their heartbreak with ABC's 13 Friday. Her son, Keandre, is now staying with his grandmother, Jacqueline Foley, in Southeast Texas. Now, Miss Foley, she is a guest over on Eat with Philly Phils. They're doing the justice for Andre and the justice for Kalitha. And this is the story is based off of. Now, mom gave her opinion, her testimony, and all of that over there. I'm just bringing awareness because it's no justice is being done in this case, right? Quote, I never experienced the hurt, the pain that I'm feeling. I don't know what to do, said Jacqueline Foley. You had no right to take my baby from me. You had no business taking her life away from her child. He's 17 years old. This is his last year in school. You have hurt my family. You have took my baby. Who? My heart goes out to this woman. I heard her speak on Eat with Philly Phil, and it's sad when the media will come out and tell you that someone accidentally discharged their gun, their firearm, while cleaning it, and then realize there was a bullet still left in the casing. Well, he should not be allowed to hold firearms ever again. He shouldn't be allowed around them. This is a careless person. You're in possession of a firearm, legal or illegal, I don't know at this point. But yet you're not aware of how many bullets in the chamber? That's careless to me. That's destruction, and it should not be allowed. But all too many, far too often in this country, people are allowed to do the wickedest things, okay? And if you don't believe me, go watch the video I just did called The 10 Most Wickedest Things That People, Christians, believers, just people in general succumb to in the world. Quote, I don't feel real. I found my mama by myself, said her son. It don't feel real, excuse me. I found my mama by myself, said her son. I just don't get it. I don't understand. She don't bother nobody. My mama didn't do nothing. And generally, these are the people of the world that get persecuted the most. The ones out here living a decent, somewhat righteous life are the ones that's getting gunned down, rejected, annihilated, null and void in this world, while wicked people get praised and go on to live their best life. It's usually the ones that do nothing wrong. Foley's brother, George Foley, said the family is working to bring his sister's body to Southeast Texas for a proper funeral. And it's hard when you have family member live out of town and you get a call saying that your daughter was gunned down in her bed while she was asleep. And then you have to try to get that body, get the son, get all her business taken care of when you live like in Texas. It's hard. I don't wish this on anybody, and it's a hard pill to swallow. Me, myself, I want to move out of the city I live in. I want to move out of it, but I always had that thought, like, what if I go away and something happened to me? Then it'd be a burden on my daughter or my family or whoever. What if I go away and something happened to them? That's no reason not to travel. Nobody expects for a literate gun owner to be cleaning his gun, not realizing there's a chamber. Well, what the hell he do when he went to clean the part that you put your trigger finger on? Did he accidentally squeeze that in? But he's careless. He's irresponsible with guns. Nobody can foresee you being anywhere in this happening. But the reality of it is, it happens. And it happened to this 36-year-old woman down in Duluth, Georgia, Carlita Foley. And it's sad. So, relatives have set up a GoFundMe to help with expenses. You guys can definitely go over to the GoFundMe. They raised $23,660 so far out of 532 donations. So, if you're into supporting the public and people in situations and times of need such as this, I will link the GoFundMe down below to this video. Quote, we're not doing well, said George Foley. This has really hit us. It hit the whole family. We just can't believe it. So, furthermore on Kalitha's tragic death, follow Steve Campion on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm going to tell you, I would advise you to follow Eat with Philly Phil over here on YouTube because the mother has been on her show and have spoken out about this tragedy. So now, you guys let me know what you think about this story. And is there any, let me see if there's any footage to go along with this. Hold on one second, y'all. Maybe after this commercial, it'll play in like 22 seconds. So let's see. So yeah, a young lady lost her life to a careless gun owner down in Duluth, Georgia. And again, when this happens to the end, it affects everybody, not even the family. It affects people that's not even related to her and beyond. It affects, let me see.
He's back here in Southeast Texas, staying with his grandmother after finding his mother shot to death. That mother's neighbor is now under arrest. Her loved ones overwhelmed with pain. Carlita Foley made her family laugh. She dreamed big, moving from Houston to Atlanta several years ago, working to build an acting career.
Never think experience the hurt and the pain that I'm feeling. I don't.
Inside Jacqueline Foley's North Houston home, you could feel the tremendous loss. A grandmother held her grandson close, trying to ease the heartbreak.
You had no right to take my baby from me. You had no business to take a life away from a child.
That's Miss Jacqueline Foley right there. That's Kalitha's mother. And I do believe the young man sitting to her left is the son. And I believe the older gentleman in the blue may be the mother's brother, Uncle George Foley.
I'll be 17 years old. This is his last year at school.
God bless him.
You have hurt my family. You have
I don't get it. I don't understand. A soul, don't pump at nobody. My mama took nothing. It's like it was destined to happen. My mama died in her bed. Gwinnett County Police call Foley's killing senseless. They arrested her neighbor, 22-year-old Maxwell Williamson, on involuntary manslaughter and reckless conduct charges. A bullet hit Foley in the head as she slept in bed inside her Duluth, Georgia apartment. The story was that he basically was cleaning his gun. He was sitting in his bed cleaning his gun, and the gun went off. He thought he emptied the chamber.
Max.
And this is where people saying strategically, he knew his room was right there, connected, adjacent to her room.
Bill stated that he was cleaning his firearm and had an accidental discharge that went through the wall into his neighbor's apartment.
Now, there was no talk. I didn't hear anybody saying that there was beef between this woman and him because, as her son said, Mom didn't do anything wrong. She went to work. She provided. She has a young black man about to graduate high school and do some other good things with his life. So there wasn't like war of the roses going on here or animosity from what we know between the two people.
This afternoon, the 36-year-old's loved ones say they're working to raise money to bring Foley's body back to Houston for a funeral.
It don't feel real. I found my mama by myself. I was gone all day. My mama had already been gone. I didn't know nothing.
I'll tell you what, your heart goes out to that young man and his entire family. Relatives have set up a GoFundMe to help with the expenses of bringing this woman's body back here to Houston for a funeral, and we will post that information inside abc13.com.
All right, we're gonna stop right there. You guys can watch the replay. So here's the GoFundMe to Miss Calithia Foley Memorial Fund. Like I just told you, there was no set donation fee. I mean, this mom has to get all her daughter's belongings, get her son, get her affairs in order, and then had to get the body back to Texas. Now, again, this was written in 2021, so I'm sure that they have gotten her body back and stuff of that nature, giving her a proper burial at this point. But if you guys, it still looks like the GoFundMe is up. Basically, it says on September 25th, 2021, our beloved Calithia Foley lost her life while sleeping in her bed when a bullet entered her home from a neighbor's gun discharging while being cleared. This has been devastating to her family, especially her son, who discovered her later that day. Now, this is where I just want to interject here. Guys, we heard the young man say he was out all day and, mom had been gone or ripping or running or doing whatever, then went home basically and took a nap. And at this point in time, we got to check on our family, whether we're the breadwinners, whether you think we're strong, whether you think we got it all together and things of that nature. We have to begin to, hey, how are you? What's going on? I'm sure if the son had called home earlier that day, he may have realized it a lot sooner. He may not have been out there all day. And God forbid, nobody knows exactly how long she laid in her bed fighting for her life. So we gotta check on people. It is not that you're being invasive or intruding or being nosy. You just want to make sure your loved ones are okay. Okay. I have a problem a lot with that in my family. I want to make sure y'all all right. I don't care if I just called 5 minutes ago. I really don't. And then if I call you once and get that, something may not be right, and I call twice and you don't answer, 3 times I'm at your door, I'm calling somebody, in my situations, it haven't been this traumatic or traumatizing, such as loss of life. But then there have been situations where people aren't doing good or doing well or struggling with something, and just you calling, showing that you care, just you calling, checking up on them. All right, we I'm not saying we could prevent this, but we could prevent a lot of other things that may come down the line. So Kathy Carlether was an extraordinary mother, daughter, sister, cousin, and friend to so many, and touched the lives of everyone around her. She leaves behind her 17-year-old son, Keandre Benjamin, who feels as though his best friend is now gone. I can relate to that, baby. Some people say you shouldn't be your mother's friend or mother shouldn't be the kids' friends. It's one of the best things in the world. Calithia dedicated her life to making those around her smile and feel loved. She enjoyed her career in acting and enjoyed displaying her talents through film and stage. You guys, let me go ahead and finish reading it. Through film and stage production. We are all devastated by the loss of Calithia, just 36 years old. And we're not prepared for the high costs surrounding her memorial services. Due to the nature of her death, additional expenses occurred to transport her from Atlanta to Houston and move her son back to Texas to be amongst family. We want to give Calethea the memorial that she deserves, to honor her memory and say our last goodbyes, as all of us wish to do. But unfortunately, it be like way too soon when stupid accidents allegedly happen like this. Please consider donating as any amount will truly help our family during this difficult time. Thank you so much for your prayers, thoughts, and donations while we navigate through our grief. Sincerely, Jackie Foley, Calethea's mom and family. Note, all funds will be given to Calethea's mom to cover memorial costs. Any overages will be used for Calethea's son's future educational expenses. So there has been updates. You guys can go through and check all of the GoFundMe out. But we're gonna go ahead. Our hearts and love and prayer go out to Calethea Foley. Remember, Eat with Philly Phil here on YouTube has an exclusive with the young lady's mom speaking up about the situation. You can go over to her channel and find out what video it is, and I'll try to find it and link it down below as well. So now let's go on to the next story because they just keep getting crazier and crazier. So an Oklahoma teen accidentally killed mother while playing with gun, then died by suicide. And when I read this, I just thought maybe he could not live with the fact that him playing with this gun took his mother's life. The teen was found lying in the street with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This story goes out by Christine Pelisek, published on August 3rd, 2021 as well. An Oklahoma teen accidentally shot his mother and then killed himself, police said. Del City police said 16-year-old boy was playing with a pistol in the living room of their Del City home when the gun accidentally went off around 11:22 p.m. Saturday and hit his 36-year-old mother. This woman was 36 as well, y'all. Stephanie Roshane Jennings in the head. Quote, the bullet traveled through the wall that separated the living room from the kitchen and struck Stephanie in the head. Same kind of thing that just happened in the last case, right? I'm almost certain the details are definitely going to be different once they really investigate over there. Shout out Justice for Calethea, in which Miss Foley and Miss Philly is over there trying to do, right? Del City Police Major Bradley Rue tells people she fell to the floor right then and was deceased. Wow. Rue says the boy, who police have not identified, ran to the kitchen immediately and saw what he did and ended up running outside to the street where he turned the gun on himself. Now, was this him playing with the gun? Was this intentional, y'all? Was it an accident? Did he feel guilty about turning the gun on his mom or killing his mom? You guys let me know down below. Police officers were called to the scene and found the teen lying in the street with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Rule says the gun was resting beside him. Quote, it was terrible, says Rule. I don't know if he was messing with it or playing with it. He wasn't cleaning it. It was a firearm in the house. So in the other case, the guy said he was cleaning it to take Calethea's life, right? Here, wasn't no cleaning going on. Wasn't an intentional act of conflict here that ended up with a 36-year-old woman, his mother, losing his life, and then he turned the gun on himself. He was transported to OU Medical Center where he later died of his injuries. Quote, we had somebody sitting in the living room where it happened, says Rule. The eyewitness told us that what happened and what the eyewitnesses told us lined up with the evidence on the scene. So there really was no foul play here, y'all. Again, another young person, irresponsible, in the house playing with a gun. and 2 lives are gone because of it. I don't think the witness knew his intention was to kill himself. I think he knew he was upset over what happened and they were trying to calm him down. And then, of course, he shot himself. Quote, it was an accident, says Rule. That's good to know, right? I'm sure he was so distraught over what had happened and what had done for whatever reasons, what he had done for whatever reasons, he decided to take his own life. The whole thing is terrible. Absolutely. The initial 911 call came from a neighbor who heard the gunshot in the street. Police say the investigation is ongoing. So, this again happened in 2021, y'all, where an Oklahoma teen accidentally killed mother while playing with gun, then decided to take his own life. I did not see any GoFundMe's. This is an old case. You guys can research up on this a little bit more. I am just bringing awareness, hope, and prayers to the families that are allowing guns to be in their house, and tell you guys how dangerous guns can be in the hands of immature people, reckless people, irrational people. Hell, I heard a man tell me one day he pulled the gun out on his daughter. I said, why would you do that? At night and all that fear. He said, hell, that's my daughter. I brought her in this world. I'll take her out. I'm like, this is what we're teaching our children today? Anyway, y'all let me know what you think down below. So, police say 12-year-old accidentally shot and killed mom. Tried to hide what happened. Now, in the other case, the guy didn't try to hide it. It was so much guilt and remorse that he couldn't live with himself. He took his own life. In this case, the 12-year-old tried to lie. Let's go ahead and listen to the audio first. The 12-year-old tried to lie and say an intruder came in and took the life. Let me get this situated here, okay?
Yes, our IT conference.
He's gonna be back in a couple of days, Tom. Let's throw a rager.
What's happening?
Where is, oh, it's right there. We don't want all that copyright. Now, this looks like a white family here. I thought the young black boy was black. I got to do some more research, honey. Let me give you this article. All right, once this commercial finishes, we can go ahead and get into. All right, so where is? Oh, right here.
The Oxford, Michigan school shooting with involuntary manslaughter has brought new attention to the laws surrounding.
Thirds of those deaths are suicides. It's estimated 13 million.
Safety. The decision to charge the parents of the alleged gunman in the Oxford, Michigan school shooting with involuntary manslaughter has brought new attention to the laws surrounding children's access to firearms. Gun safety advocates want gun owners to be held criminally responsible in the event that they fail to properly secure their firearms. And members of the medical community are pushing for more funding to treat gun injuries and deaths as a public health emergency. Senior medical correspondent, that's Dr. Tara Narula, spoke with a trauma surgeon at the center of that push, along with 3 parents who sadly lost children to firearms. Tara, this is such an important conversation. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. Those parents all say the deaths of their children were preventable. Glenn LaCroix's son, Jonah Payne, used an unlocked gun to take his own life at age 17. Kristen Song's 15-year-old son, Ethan, was killed while playing with a gun at a friend's house. Mark Barden's 7-year-old son, Daniel, died in the Sandy Hook school shooting. We were joined by Dr. Chetan Sathya, director of Northwell Health's Center for Gun Violence Prevention.
This isn't something that happened to us. This is our life now. I often.
All right. So that's getting more into children taking their own lives. We're actually talking about a 12-year-old boy admitted to shooting and killing his mom after initially lying to detectives about what happened, authorities said. This took place in Jefferson County, and their sheriff's office says in Alabama, deputies began investigating the death of 29-year-old woman in Forestdale, Alabama on Monday. The woman has been identified as Ayobiti Cook. And this is the right case that I'm talking about. This is the black woman that I saw on camera who lost her life due to her son having a gun in his hands. During the investigations, detectives determined that Cook's 12-year-old son, who has not been named, unintentionally discharged a firearm, striking and killing his mom. Isn't 12 years old too young to allow your, isn't that age just too young for children to even be around guns, unlocked guns, unsupervised guns? Guns take lives, y'all. And I'm going to keep saying it. In the hands of the wrong people, there's a lot of mass destruction and damage that's being done. Quote, the child originally fabricated a story that detectives determined was not possible. The sheriff's office said in the news release that the child eventually gave a true account of what happened. Investigators say evidence supports that the shooting was unintentional, but it still doesn't negate the fact that someone lost their life behind these unintentional acts of gun violence. The boy's family, who he will remain with, has been cooperative, the department said. The case will be addressed through the family court system. Now, I do believe this is Iya Toby, Iya BT, something like BTA, Eben Harris Cook, affectionately known as Yo or Yo Yo, received their heavenly wings on August 6, 2022. That's my son's birthday, y'all. Shout out to Cheese. Funeral arrangements for Miss A. Harris Cook. Visitations will be held at Faith Memorial Services, and that's the address and everything, y'all. In an initial news release, right, about the incident, the department said they arrived on scene. There appeared to be no forced entry into the home, but a man was seen fleeing the home shortly before the 911 call was made. This is the story that the 12-year-old originally told them. CBS News has reached out to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and is awaiting a response. Cook's husband, Jawan Cook, said she was known as Yo or Yo Yo. He posted on Facebook that funeral arrangements would be held on August 12th. And that would have been, oh, that is today. Today is August 12th. Today is my niece's birthday. Yesterday, I had two sisters born on that day. Orange was Yo Yo's favorite color, so feel free to wear it as we celebrate her life, he wrote. CBS News has reached out to DeJohn Cook and is awaiting response from him. In 2022 so far, there have been at least 169 unintentional shootings by children, according to Everytown for Gun Safety, a nonprofit that advocates for gun reform and against gun violence. You know, let me just stop here. There's a bishop of Brooklyn. We call him, that's who I call him over here, Lamar Whitehead. He's happy that Cuomo has signed some kind of law into effect that, he's rooting for pastors to be able to have guns inside the church. And he allegedly was scoped out by the FBI, allegedly for having guns in his church, not the ones that was used in the alleged robbery, but there was other reports saying that it's possible his leaderships of Tomorrow Ministry are involved in guns some way. So, shootings by children caused 74 deaths and 104 injuries in the U.S. this year. Now, guys, I'm sure there's going to be more to this story. Let's go ahead and listen to a little bit more of this.
I feel like my DNA has been rewired since Daniel was shot to
Absolutely.
death.
Waiting for the ER doctor to come in, we had no idea Ethan had been shot. I thought he had gotten hit by a car. I was afraid of it for a long time because Jonah struggled with his mental health. I didn't work hard
Pause.
enough. I
Pause.
didn't take a stand and say there are not going to be any
Pause.
unlocked guns.
And mental health and guns don't mix, y'all. I don't care how much we try to merge the two. Mental health and guns do not mix, okay? So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and listen to the rest of that story. Our hearts, man, oh man, oh man, goes out to this beautiful young woman here, Miss, let me get her name right. Oyabiyi Abene, or something to that effect. Miss A. All right. So with that being said, y'all, we gotta do better. Now, the latest case that's sparking a lot of controversy is indeed, and I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna read this to you, end it here, and then we're gonna come back and talk fully about police brutality versus black ignorance. I know I'm in a lane all by myself. I'm doing the best I can with bringing awareness to the ignorance of black people. And hopefully I will do my best today in trying to point this out to you with this next story. So as the article is pulling up, there was a couple in the park, and after hours, certain time of night, parks are closed. You're not supposed to be hanging out there. It's like this pretty much all around the country. I don't know why, because just like what people can do on the public street, they can do in the park after dark, right? I mean, you're not shutting down the public park for all, I mean, the public streets for all the lewdness and wickedness that goes on in it. But this couple was just kissing and, fornicating in the park there, allegedly. They may have been a couple, I'm not sure. You know how y'all Christians say, what it was, 57%. I did in that video this morning, casual sex. That ain't what Jesus say, but these are the people in the church that push a lot of this propaganda. Before we get into the woman who was in the park, let me introduce you to this man right here. This is a bishop, a pastor, a somebody of the church and of the community and of the faith, right? He's a New York pastor at that. Now, New York, y'all gotta do better. Y'all making God look bad around here, okay? Anyway, this New York pastor allegedly was told to, allegedly is a sex offender, not allegedly, but, and he was working around people. All right, so Dawson Speaks, I'm going to share your video. I believe I already did. I am subscribed to you, Dawson. I just want the people to hear a little bit of this story clip right here, okay? And you guys let me know what you think about the people of the church. Let me just read some of the comments right now. It say, yo, when Dawson says, take a break, it kills me every time. I swear it do. He say a mouthful, and then when he get to that punch or that blow, make his point. He like, take a breath. Anyway, let me see. I don't know why things are freezing up on your clip, Dawson, but I will leave all of everything down below. Okay, so it says he positioned himself where he knew his prey was. How could this have gotten past the leaders of the church? Right. Exactly. This like putting a hungry lion in a meat shop. People can change, but why put him in charge of young men? Again, this agenda that's going on in the world has always been about the not only Hebrew black male children, but it's children, period. Male, female, don't matter what color you are. These predators are using the church to prey on the people. Now, if I can get back up to the top here, we can play this. All right, so let's listen to it a little bit. I don't know why things are running slow, but it's all good. We're going to get through this, okay, guys?
Contact with minors, it was through his volunteer capacity with the Clergy Emergency Response Team. Now, Beer House also heard concerns from the community about Pastor Jackson working their program.
He said Clergy Emergency Response Team. I don't believe it, y'all. Don't believe it. I told you in my last video, the clergy and the church are the biggest deceivers in the world. Don't believe it. Not all people are bad in the church. So
they decided to go ahead and terminate Pastor Jackson's
church itself is a bad place. Not all people in church are bad, but the church itself is a wicked entity against God and disguises itself as the angel of light. So you will follow it straight to hell in the handbasket, Godspeed, and not to this place called heaven on earth. As it is so, right? Listen. All right, come on. Don't freeze up. Don't freeze up. Don't freeze up.
Are you going to do damage control? Pastor Marcus Jackson was employed with Beer House from 2020 up until August 1st of 2022. Now, I know there are those in religious institutions as well as open society. We all have our different beliefs when it comes to this. There are those of you who believe that if a person asks for forgiveness, they should be forgiven, especially if they served their time and paid their debt to society. They should be able to go on in with their life and be able to work and all that stuff. And then there are some of you who feel that if somebody commits a horrible, heinous act against a child, especially sexual abuse, that they should never be in. Point in case, they have to register as a sex offender for life. Now, we're going to get into this. Now, I'm going to let you all watch this video, and I'll be back with the rest of my commentary. And you all know me. I'm Dawson.
And he don't hold back, y'all. Trust me. Y'all think I'm bad over here.
Central New York nonprofit that helps survivors of domestic and sexual abuse hired and employed a registered sex offender for the past 2 years. New tonight, Vera House in Syracuse is responding to community concerns brought to the attention of NBC3. This is the man in question, Marcus Jackson. Vera House tells us Jackson was fired last week. In New York, Jackson is a level 2 registered sex offender. Level 3 offenders are the most dangerous. He was convicted of unlawful sexual activity with 15 and 16-year-old boys. Just last month, we profiled Jackson and his role with Vera House.
As spiritual leaders, right, we feel that we need to be present for our people in non-traditional ways. We may not have all the answers, but sometimes folk don't want you to say anything. They just need someone to listen.
Jackson, who is also a pastor, was part of the Clergy Emergency Response Team in Syracuse, too. He and others would be some of the first people on scene after violence in the city of Syracuse, often families of young victims of gun violence. Vera House hired Jackson in October of 2020. Investigative reporter Mary Keeler went to the co-executive director of Vera House to ask why. Mary?
All right, so I'm not going to take much of his clip. You guys know that there is a pastor here in the state of New York that has been using clergy, using the cloth to hide the fact that he was a registered sexual offender and that he was out here preying on little boys. That's black ignorance to me. That's ignorance, period. When you're not in a position to discern the wolves in sheep clothing. Now, let's carry on over to this story right here. And then I'm just going to show you a picture of this young lady. Make mention of the fact that her and this gentleman was in the park. They was pretty much, getting it in, doing them, whatever. This is the young lady. A black officer rolled up and said, hey, this happened in Atlanta, I do believe, and said, hey, this right here, what I'm reading off of, comes out of 11 Alive, all right? Y'all can't be in the park after dark. I'm going to give y'all this ticket, this citation, sign it, and you'll be on your merry way. Now, the black man signed it. I think the black man is more submissive than women are. I'm just trying to tell, honey, we can have a whole conversation about that, okay? Who's more submissive, the black man or the white or the black woman? Well, in this case, we know it was the man because when the officer said, hey, this is what y'all doing wrong, I feel like giving y'all a citation. I can do that because I'm the man in blue. I can abuse my power. I see a black couple just kissing and hugging. Ain't no drugs involved. Ain't no loud music. Ain't no guns. Ain't no none of that. Just out simply after hours trying to have a good time in the park. They were outside the car, fully clothed, but I just feel like giving y'all a ticket. Here, sign it. The black man did. Boom. But then he said to this woman right here, he said, I'm giving you a citation. Here you go, sign it. That woman said no. He said, well, paraphrasing here, because we're going to get into the whole story in the next video. He said, well, if you don't sign, you're going to jail. Point blank, period. She stood there. What is your badge name? What is this? What is that? Da-da-da-da-da. And then he got them handcuffs out and her story started to change. Well, Mr. Booker, I'll sign, Mr. Booker. I'll sign. By that time, that man was tired of allegedly wasting his time with this woman and playing around with this woman to the point where he just said, you're going to jail because of the way you act out here acting allegedly. Went to handcuff her. She start crying. He slams on the ground. She's hurting. They put her butt in the car. She basically says, can I have my phone? After a grand performance, y'all. Can I have my phone? The next thing comes out her mouth, can you give him my phone? And she was only worried about her phone at this particular point. If she was more worried about going to jail than not the phone, she might have would have signed a ticket. And just because you sign a ticket or a citation don't mean you're always guilty. You got a right to go before the judge, a right to dispute it, and that probably would have solved the problem. But instead, black ignorance sometimes create more problems for themselves, for ourselves, than need be. So, Rusty Pistol, what a damn name, y'all. Rusty Pistol said, I'm just grateful that we now have body cam footage to stop all the politics and drama. Does body cam footage help with black ignorance? I ain't saying bow down to the police, but you can tell her whole attitude when we get into the video was off. And black people, you say there's a certain way you gotta act with the police. I don't buy into any of that as well. Right is right, wrong is wrong. If the officer felt like giving out a ticket, the right thing to do was to just sign it to keep from going to jail. Is that bullying? Is that police abuse of power? Is that throwing his weight around? Is that freaking mind control? Mind effing you out of your rights and stuff? Probably so. But this could have ended a lot different if both the police didn't want to abuse his power and the young woman didn't want to show us her black ignorance. So this way people get to see exactly what happens out there, whether it's for the good or the bad. Absolutely. We get to see now and don't have to succumb to public narrative who weren't even around when an incident happens. And baby, I wasn't around when anything happened when got started with the church. But I told you 10 things, the top 10 things black people, church people, Christian people succumb to. I'm on to something here, y'all. I did that video earlier today. Now this woman is talking about succumbing to public narrative. And that public narrative Paul gave us a long time ago, wrapped up in swaddling clothing, was a damn lie. Allegedly. All right, let's see what else they're saying. I love the way the guy conducted himself. He asked questions and then signed the ticket. Just like the church tell you, you better not ask God. People tell you, you better not question the police. And you have the right to do so. But when you do, like this lady did in this video, what's your badge number? They can get offended and take it out on you. Who is you to be asking me who I am? What's my name? I'm the law. They ain't the law of God, but they're the law of the land, and you better obey them. Are you going to get tussled down to the ground and taken away in handcuffs, allegedly? You can stand up to these people just like the black guy did. And he was able to stand there and record his girlfriend getting thrown around. He didn't stand up to them police and say, get your goddamn hands off my girl. Get their hands off my girl. No. He recorded everything. Wasn't really much he could do because all them other officers came on the scene like they was ready to whoop his ass if he did say something. It's amazing you get to see two different outcomes in one incident. And I am going to stop right there. Let me go back and read. I love the way the guy conducted himself. He asked questions and then signed the ticket. He can now take it to court and get it thrown out. And if they were abusive to him, he can bring his charges up then. Simple as that. No fuss, no fight. They could have went back to kissing. They could have drove off and parked in front of his house or her house and got it in, honey. It's amazing you get to see two different outcomes in one incident. The one incident was the police pull up on two black people, male and female. The male was submissive and adhered to what the police was saying. And the woman had a little resistance. And if y'all sitting out there saying she didn't, y'all telling a damn lie, just like Paul. And this is why we can't get nowhere in America, because everybody want to live on this lie that black ignorance is the way to go. And it's not. So we're going to go ahead and end this video here with this lovely lady. And when I come back in my next video, hopefully I can do it live. Hopefully I can do it live. Why don't we do this right here? We got a couple of minutes. Why don't we play a little footage? Because I may not get to play the footage later. I'm tired of going live like this, so we'll see. Let's go play a little bit of this footage, okay? And then we'll go from there. Shout out to Tea Time playing in the background. It's on the YouTube audio library. It is free music.
To our top story tonight, we have brand new body cam video showing the Atlanta police in an investigation that turns physical. It all started when police noticed a car in a park. They were there almost an hour after the park had closed and tried to issue a traffic citation to the man and woman inside, and video of this confrontation quickly went viral.
Now listen, you're there for a citation after hours in the park. How did it get to the point where we see the tussle between the man, the cop, and the woman? Huh? I mean, obviously, black ignorance is not something that affects the whole community. Obviously, the black man knew how to deal with it. But it affects the community, and in this case, it was a woman.
11 Live's Don White is in the studio breaking down just what happened here, Don. Ron and Jennifer, the man in the car agreed to sign the ticket, while the woman initially, she did not. An hour-long police body camera video shows the interaction getting violent with the officer and the woman.
Initially, she did not. Initially, when he said, you're going to have to sign a ticket, she ran back to the car. Now, somebody said that was a mistake the police made. But she could have went to that car. She went to get her phone to take a picture of his badge and all that, allegedly. But when she went back to that car, she could have came out with a gun. The police let her go to that car, reach in that car. And then when he takes her phone, right? and she asking for it in the back seat of the car. He said, you're in custody now. Although we know prisons, they have phones, they have internet, they have all these phones and all that. No, you can't have your phone right now. So to me, he was further punishing her. Most police would say, okay, go ahead, use your phone to call your parents and let them know you're going downtown. The guy was there, saw everything, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, he's punishing her at this point. He's like, no, you can't have your phone. You're in custody. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this clip, and then I'm going to come back with my next video, and we're going to break it all the way down. I have in this police brutality versus black ignorance. What do you guys think happened here? Was the police being abusive and abusing his power in this situation, or was that chick just ignorant as hell at that particular point and cause this upon herself? See, black people, we don't want to talk about all the issues we bring on ourselves. I told you, we ain't got to be submissive and kiss the police ass, but we don't got to be so ignorant to get tussled down on the damn ground, thrown in the back of the cop car, headed to the plantation with no rights at all at this point in time. That's ignorant to me. So y'all let me know. We're going to listen to a little bit more of this. And to the one person in the chat, I don't know why the love of God I'm streaming like this, but this is the only way I have for you to see the visuals right now. You know, I can't share my screen because I don't have StreamYards. I tried Melon, and they kicked me out as soon as I put my title in. They was like, the host disabled your video. Don't nobody want to hear this. I might not get no views, I may not get no traction, but I know what I'm saying is the God's honest truth. Black people, black ignorance is the reason I told you this country is doomed. Joe Biden said the country is doomed because of black people, not just because of you. There's other reasons he's throwing on top of you. I'm telling you, our ignorance is why we doomed. Whether it come to the police, clergy, putting a gun in a 12-year-old hand so he can off his mother, a 16-year-old off his mother and took his own life. We got to clean up some of the ignorance.
Winding up,
Ignorance is doubt and unbelief, darkness, blindness, deafness. That's what ignorance is.
rolling around on the ground, the woman refusing to put her hands behind her back, eventually saying she'd signed her tickets as well. Mr. Britt, I'm going to put your hands behind your back. This is video of a woman being arrested at Shady Valley Park Monday evening.
Sir, you do not have to tell her like that.
See, he's saying, sir, you shouldn't do that. He should have been saying to his girlfriend, oh, look, I signed it. Let's just take his ass to court. Go to court. It'll get thrown out. He letting the girl be smart with the cop, stand there, you know, say it with your chest kind of thing. Like I told you, don't be submissive. You can question the cops. You can question God. Only Christianity wants you to be dumb and ignorant. You have a right to question people. But he's saying, why are you doing her like that? Why did he look at this woman and say, yo, why are you doing this? Just sign the damn paper so we can go back to hugging. We might got to leave out of this part, but there's other open public areas. We can go to Walmart. Hell, ain't no after hour curfew at Walmart. If we want to be outside hugged up and kissing, let's go to Walmart parking lot. They can't run us out of there. Ignorance. We can avoid a lot of this stuff, y'all. It's embarrassing to see a black cop and a black woman go head to head. Her ignorance, his power, abusive power, some would say, because he didn't have to do all what he did. But for this man, we hear him saying, why you doing her like that? Yo, why couldn't he de-escalate the situation with his wife? Why couldn't the cop, or girlfriend allegedly, why couldn't the cop de-escalate this situation? But I think the number one thing hurting our community is ignorance from the government, from the church, all these entities. Ignorance. Ain't nothing wrong with black people. We've just been taught differently. We've been taught by the enemies of God. And we refuse to get back to the law of God and God's teaching. So all of this little conflict, even though it ain't going to really clear up, we could diminish some of the works of the devil. We can eschew from some of this kind of evil. Pure evil here. You got a bunch of black people in the park after hours out here acting a damn fool. One, because one got on a police uniform that was used to what? Detain unruly ass niggas on the plantation. And now they find themselves in the park some damn where. They wasn't unruly though, y'all. They was just their lovebirds. But they were breaking the law. The sign said nobody in the park after 10, after 11, whatever your city sign says. It's generally like that all around America. Park shut down for whatever reason. Hell, you should shut down the public streets because that's where the devil is. The devil ain't in the park, honey. He in people's houses. He in people's minds. How you going to clear that up? So you want to clear out the parks for public safety, but yet you don't want to clear up anything else for human consumption and human growth, development. One of my mentors, one of my recent mentors, he says we achieve PhDs. That's proper human development, and I don't see that here. I don't see it here at all.
In this Bible post, the woman's sister says she asked the officer for his badge number and name.
Sir,
The post then showing the officer pushing her to the ground.
She did it with ignorance, though, and she did it with an attitude. It wasn't like, okay, officer, can I have your badge number and name? I'll sign the ticket, or even if she didn't want to sign the ticket. Her approach could have made the officer feel threatened and intimidated. And who the hell you think you are talking to me about my badge? I'm the police lady. You better do as I say, not as I do. Kind of situation, right?
Found. 11 Alive got this body camera video from the officer seen in the viral post.
you cannot sign and go to jail.
It shows the man who shot the viral video signing his citation.
All right. So question I have for y'all. Is it against the law not to sign a citation when the police come up on you? Is there a law in effect that you have to sign a citation or you're going to go to jail? Or was that just his law at the time? Like, yo, I'm here. I have a quota. We have a job. We have numbers. In order for me to keep my paycheck, I got to turn in so many citations, so many criminals, so many wayward acting people. But is it a law that if you don't sign a citation, you're going to go to jail? Let me know down in the comments, y'all.
What's your badge number?
The officer gives the woman his name and badge.
See how she walked away? She could have came back with a gun.
You have to sign it. No, I don't.
The video shows the woman.
Now, she may be onto something there. She really may be onto something there. You may not have to sign because the police tell you to sign. But we've all gotten tickets at one point or time on the road, in the park, parking on pavement, running a stop sign. They give you that ticket. Sometimes they have you sign it, and then you could mail it in, or you could go to court and dispute it. What is the problem? I tell you what the problem is. The attitudes we as black people have one against other black people, but then the bias and attitudes we have against the police officers. That's the problem.
Traffic citation.
You don't have a hospital. I think that's where it should have ended and allowed her to sign a citation. There was no need to use the hands-on method there. Once she had agreed and once she really realized that she was potentially going to be arrested.
NAACP Georgia.
Wait. Is that a time to recompense? Is that a time to ask for forgiveness? You was just rude and blatantly said, I'm not going to do XYZ. No, I don't. And then you see the handcuffs. You see the possibility of you going to jail. Now you want to cry wolf and say, I'll sign. Come on, y'all. What's really going on here? Y'all let me know down below. Because I want to come back and give you my whole entire opinion about this situation. And I'm going to do it on camera. I'm not going to do it. I'm giving you the visuals here. We're going to just come back, read through stuff, and I'm going to be on camera. But what's really going on here?
Didn't change after watching the police body camera video.
We plan to meet with the chief of police. We plan to meet with a young lady and her attorney. We plan to get to the bottom of what actually happened.
Crime and safety expert Mark Bachman has 35 years experience in law enforcement and thinks
You know
goes both ways.
It don't matter how long you've been on the police force. If you're not obedient to God, you're going to be out here being ignorant and allowing the ignorance of other people to get you caught up. Now knock it off. You can get to the bottom of why do we always bring this upon ourselves? Why do we? Everybody always talking about accountability and being responsible for certain things. When are black people going to be accountable for the fact that they allow white people to lie to them over 2,000 years and counting?
So it's always good to comply with the police. I'm pretty sure that she knew she wasn't going to go to jail.
But Bachman believes
Hold on. Oh, wait. In certain instances, it's always good to comply with the police, like the black man did. This is just a ticket. We in the park. It ain't gonna affect my credit, my job status. I can go to court and fight it. But when you got crooked police on the force and they want you to do some crooked ass shit, don't comply with them. When you got police brutality and all of that, I mean, it's a way where you still going along with them, but you don't comply with them so they don't have to beat the shit out of you. All right? It's always been a war against the officers in blue, as I did the video before, and the men in black. It just except you have a skin suit on, okay? That's something you've been wearing all your life. Gucci, Louis, Prada cannot give you your suit, okay?
When she said she changed her mind.
You have to weigh what you're dealing with here. We're not talking about a felony violation. We're not even talking about a misdemeanor criminal violation. We're talking about a traffic infraction.
Right. Which
asked 11 Alive legal analyst.
Which any one of us, the judge would be willing to throw any of it out. Oh, y'all a couple. Oh, okay, next time stay out the park. Why do we make things worse for ourselves?
It's paid. If people have to legally sign traffic citations, he says no, and he adds that it only means you are acknowledging receiving the ticket, not admitting guilt. The crime and safety.
I was about to say that because I remember signing one or two in my life, but it does not admit your guilt. It just says, hey, the cop thought you were doing something wrong. Here's a citation. Go in front of the judge and let him decide. And generally, it works for your good once you do get in front of the judge. I know a lot of people are busy, don't want to go, can't do this, got kids, gotta cook, gotta work 3 jobs. Find time if you find yourself in a situation where you are cited by a police to go fight it. To fight it in court. There's nothing wrong with that. They're telling you somewhat of it is not against the law. Let me see if I can bring that back a little bit.
People have to legally sign traffic citations. He says no, and he adds that it only means you are acknowledging receiving the ticket, not admitting guilt. The crime and safety man and thinks the blame goes both ways.
It's always good to comply with the police. I'm pretty sure that she knew she wasn't going to go to jail.
But Bachman believes the officer could have diffused the situation by allowing the woman to sign the ticket.
But you know what? Unfortunately, with black people, there is some psychotic disconnection that whenever police come around, it's going to end up bad. I told you no, whenever white people in authority come around, it end up bad. Not always necessarily the police, but when they get involved too, it don't always turn out good for black people for the most part either. Now, there's some good brothers, some good cops, some good sisters out there doing their thing for all mankind, for humanity, for justice, for real, okay? Well, then you got you got some people out here that okay don't know the law themselves and are law officers, law enforcement. All right, he could have wrote that ticket, submitted it to the judge, and let them send her a subpoena or a court date in the mail. He didn't have to take it as far as he took it because we're going to hear it's not against the law to refuse to sign a citation. The only thing you're admitting there is that you received this citation. You're not admitting guilt. This man, this lady on the news report is going to tell you that, hey, listen, it's not against the law. You have a right to refuse it. But then that will trigger certain police officers that don't know the law to abuse their power.
She changed her mind.
You have to weigh what you're dealing with here. We're not talking about a felony violation. We're not even talking about a misdemeanor criminal violation. We're talking about a traffic infraction.
I asked 11 Alive legal analyst Paige Pate if people have to legally sign traffic citations. He says no, and he adds that it only means you are acknowledging receiving the ticket, not admitting guilt. The crime and safety expert I spoke to says the Georgia statute says may instead of should when it comes to someone signing a traffic ticket. So the policy is up to each police department.
All right, and there you have it. Georgia is enforcing it, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and end it here, you all. Let me go back and find this beautiful black queen who is out here telling the police no, as she has the right to do in certain situations. And in this situation, she probably knew the law and knew she didn't have to sign. But again, the attitude, how you present yourself is perceived differently by everybody and every entity. All right. I just say here, guys, seek ye the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness, and God will add the rest. And with that being said, shalom, everybody. You've been watching Religion Link TV, and my spiritual ears stay. All right, Josh Daly says the signature is not an admission of guilt. It is to acknowledge you received it. Some people just want to stir the pot. And then when they receive their consequences for it, they start blaming everyone but themselves.